Good morning, everybody. It's Ben Jones here from the Coffee Workshop. Badger from Bronson Coffee Roasters. It's another Monday morning. Welcome back. Happy to be here brewing coffee. It's gonna dilly-dally moment. Let everyone join us. And if you're watching this on a rebroadcast, feel free to fast forward a little bit. So it's been an incredibly nice series of days here in the Pacific Northwest. It's been beautiful and nice and toasty. Great time of the year for some outdoor activities. Also a perfect time of the year to make some iced coffee. And if you're interested in outdoor activities or cold coffee, or if you just happen to like coffee in general, one of my favorite little brewing tools is, of course, the AeroPress. So anyone who knows me is not a stranger to the fact that I really enjoy the AeroPress. Good morning, everyone. I see some folks joining in. This is very good. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the AeroPress. AeroPress was invented and released to the market in 2005. The fellow who created the AeroPress is the same engineer and professor who designed the Aerobi flying ring. And his name, if you didn't know, is Alan Adler. That's his name right there. He wrote on this little ring for me, kind of fun, kind of special. Professor Adler, he was really into aerodynamics. So the edge of this ring has this very specific shape that gives it quite an aerodynamic and an aquadynamic shape. Designed it as an airfoil, which could also be used as a hydrofoil. Took it, turned it into a ring shape, and that became the AeroPress, or the Aerobi flying ring. This size one, the large one, that also comes in smaller versions. They also made a boomerang, which I can never get to come back to me. And then there's also just, flying proper discs. Anyway, bunch of things. But this one, the Aerobi Pro, the larger format, this is credited for the world record longest object thrown by a human without any assistance. So just hand directly to object thrown. And it went just shy of it was quite far, 3,333 feet, something of that nature. I forget precisely. I do the coffee part of it. So let's talk about the coffee aspect. So Mr. Adler wanted to make a little brewer that would brew 1 cup of coffee at a time. His engineering mind was very much bent toward efficiency, wanting to reduce waste. So he didn't want to brew up a whole pot of coffee when he was the only one who would be drinking the 1 cup towards the afternoons. But he also didn't like the way the coffee pot scaled down. So, if you weren't making 8 cups, it didn't make 1 cup very well. So he went into his workshop and he designed this. This is an original AeroPress. It's essentially a giant coffee syringe. In lieu of a needle, we get a filter cap that would screw onto the brew chamber. And then, like the syringe, you have the rubber plunger, and that goes in there and we force out coffee. It's similar to the French press insofar that you are pressing to separate the water from the coffee grounds, but it is vastly and immensely different. That was 2005. The AeroPress itself hasn't changed significantly since its advent and introduction to the market. The only real improvements that we've seen with the AeroPress has been a change in the manufacturing materials. It's gone through a variety of different updates, and currently we're looking at this sort of smoked plastic with the gold lettering on the sides. The reason for these upgrades, BPA, phthalate-free plastics, so he endeavored to make it more food safe since we are putting hot water into plastic. So if you have the original clear one, good on you. You're a hero in my book. Early adapters But if you're worried about any chemicals leaching from plastic, I would toss this to the shelf for display and go to baddwarfcoffee.com and pick up a new style food safe AeroPress. All right, so 2005, no significant changes to the product until last November. Got a hold of the AeroPress Go, and it all fits into this. When you buy a traditional AeroPress, let's back up a little bit, you get the AeroPress set, you get a bunch of tools, and all those things together, they're nice. They fit, and they fall on the floor. They fit into a little, a small-ish package. I have, various, like, a small bag you can put them into, and it's portable. But the AeroPress Go, this is really fun. We sell the traditional AeroPress on our website. The AeroPress Go is available through the AeroPress website itself. And what you get with this is essentially the same thing as the AeroPress with a few modifications. This little flexible silicone rubber cap, which is just kind of fun. It acts as a real nice insulator and kind of traction pad if you need that. Let's look at the little fun things first. You get this little kind of like a makeup mirror compact style clamshell thing that holds a handful of filters. The container itself is a 15-ounce drinking mug, so we can put that right in there, and we have our coaster and our traction bit so we don't slide across the table if it gets slippery. They have traded out the large scoop for a smaller scoop, so a little more portable version here. This is one with the AeroPress Go. Similarly, in lieu of the paddle that came with the AeroPress, you get this little fold-out stir paddle. So, something fun about the original AeroPress paddle is it was engineered just to fit in there, just so you don't scratch the paper filter. But it is possible with this one to reach too deep and disturb your filter. So far, those are the things that are significantly different in terms of actual product, but this is the little Go itself. And for the rapid observers, you'll notice there are 1, 2, 3 numbers instead of 4. That is because in order to get that more compact little bit, we're looking at a brewer that's 3/4 of an inch shorter than the standard. So that's kind of the biggest difference. The flange on the bottom that rests atop your mug, that's been shrunk. So while the original AeroPress fits phenomenally and safely on top of my diner mug, the Go also fits phenomenally and safely, just much more economically. All right. The other difference, which you might get nerdy about, the filter cap itself is a series of concentric circles as opposed to the original filter cap is a series linear grid. So again, there's the difference between the two. AeroPress Go right here and traditional original. That was a manufacturing decision. These are injection molded, so it's much easier and less expensive to inject singularly through the middle instead of trying to hit multiple points through it. Anyway, manufacturing bits. So let's start brewing a cup of coffee with the AeroPress Go so you can see how it works. And we can talk about kind of some little other bits and pieces. One thing I do want to make note of is that the Fellow Prismo, this was designed as an attachment for the original AeroPress. It does fit nicely onto the AeroPress Go. I've heard in some of the forums people complaining that their Prismo won't attach to their Go. I've had no problems. I don't have an answer for that. Fellow does not have an answer for that. AeroPress does not have an answer for that. If yours doesn't fit, I'm sorry. But let's look at, let's go back, let's make some coffee. All right, so the function is essentially the same as the AeroPress. We're gonna take some of our filters. I'm just gonna do one today. Typically I do 2 or 3 to really clean up, but since I'm using the micro compact little storage thing, I don't want to use all my filters, so single paper filter placed into the filter cap. And I do traditional method, not the inverted. Sits on top of your mug just like this. You could also put it on top of your carrying mug. Excellent. All right, best practice always, give that a little rinse, just because it's good to do. And I'll just pour the water into there. There we go. Let's use that. One of the things that I really like about the Go is that because it's a new product, it has another material change has been the plunger material. This is a little more on the go, a little more pliable, a little more resilient, a little more flexible. Nothing wrong with the older style plunger tops, but I like the new one. So you can also go to the AeroPress website. These come off, so if you need to upgrade or refresh, renew, you can buy these individually through AeroPress directly. All right, so I have my AeroPress on top of my mug. I've got my same 19 grams of coffee, ground. You know, kind of. This is a chunky drip, kind of coarse drip. Magic with the AeroPress, you can use any grind size you want. The larger you go, let it steep longer. If you shrink your grind size, you shrink your brew time. I like to use coarser coffee, give it a longer brew, longer steep, easier to press as well. All right, let me start my timer. Because time is important, I want to have that ready. And I'm just going to fill up my AeroPress Go paddle. Little agitation, little stir. Again, this stirring and agitation, this helps to pull flavors out. The Go and the AeroPress, the original AeroPress, they function the same way. I think it's a great design because it gives us a new look at something old. I often don't like products that aren't essential, but I really like the Go because it's so compact. Now, some people complain that the small size, there's a particular guy who does some YouTube videos over in the UK who I love his videos, but he says one of the major complaints of AeroPress is that it's too small. You can only make 1 cup at a time. Why would you shrink it? That's like taking a weakness and amplifying that weakness. I don't see it as a weakness because I just let some water drip down a little bit, and I topped it off, and I'll put my plunger in, and I'll let this sit and steep. I'm still drinking out of my same diner mug that I AeroPress into every day with the traditional AeroPress. I'm going to be making the same ratio coffee, 19 grams to my just over 300 grams of water. It's going to be a good cup of coffee. While that steeps for a few more minutes, I'm going to read through the comments. Joshua mentions, while the rubber cap is pliable, do not store it inside of the brew chamber. Correct. You don't want this rubber to be compressed when you're not using it. So leaving this all together, get that to snap back in. These things, I love how when you're on a video or doing it live in front of somebody, the easy things become multitudes more difficult. I've never had this much problem getting, there we go, it's on. All right. All right, if I'm gonna make a complaint about the AeroPress, is that when you lock the cap on and you insert the plunger, it won't plunge all the way to the bottom for storage. So when you store it, I store mine separate, but if you store them together, make sure that you compress this all the way so that the rubber has protruded from there, but that prevents the cap from screwing on, so your cap won't stick. 3 minutes with this real coarse, chunky coffee. I'm gonna go and give this a plunge now. And again, because I like my coffee delicate and light-bodied, I'm not gonna press into or through the hiss. Once I hear the hiss, I'll stop. There it is. All right. I have my diner mug of coffee. A little bit underfilled, so I just like that. If you're looking for immaculately precise brewing, where you're controlling everything down to the 10th or 100ths of a gram of your coffee and water doses, if you want temperature stability, AeroPress Traditional and Go are great options. If you just want to get in there and make yourself a cup of coffee, all sleepy-eyed and stumbling around, AeroPress and AeroPress Go are great options. It smells so good. It's very hot, so I'm not going to drink it. Can you all guess what I'm drinking today? A little coffee out of the country of Colombia, which I like to call Las Brisas, from Batter from Bronson. This has been, we launched this coffee, I believe back in March when COVID hit, and that's been pretty much my exclusive coffee through this whole season. I really love it. If you've tried it and you love it, we still have it on our website, battlecoffee.com. Go check it out. If you tried it and didn't love it, I'm curious to find out what you didn't like about it. And then we have other options. So you might not have liked this. Maybe it was too bright for you, maybe too zippy. We have other coffees that are less zippy. If you want to try a single origin, some of our Guatemalan coffees would be a great option. El Volcan, or move into our blends, Dancing Goats, Whirling Dervish, get some Capital Blend, some Skies Mountain Blend. Those would be a little more mellow. Could you imagine if you went into an ice cream shop and had one little sample and said, forget this, I'm not eating this ice cream? Yeah. No, you have choices. And that's one of the things I love about our coffee menu. A lot of options. And we do stock the AeroPress Traditional. Good cup of coffee right there. So go check that out. If you're into more espresso-esque coffees and you want to try the AeroPress, I recommend going to Fellow Products and getting a Prismo attachment. Metal filtration, focused singular hole in the middle, so it will increase the back pressure. We're never going to get proper espresso out of anything that's not really an espresso machine. But for what this is, brilliant. I see someone in there from the company is saying something about Rocky Road. Fun fact for your Monday, it's your Monday fun fact. Rocky Road is my least favorite ice cream in the whole world. Should never exist. That's all I have to say about that. I'm going to go and enjoy this. This has been my longest video to date, perhaps, 19 minutes. Thank you all for hanging out. I'll be back on Friday. We're going to be chatting with some friends. Sorry, not chatting with, I'll be talking about some friends who do make some coffee brewers, Shoalwater Pottery. It's going to be good times. Thank you all for joining.